May the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, our strength and Redeemer. Amen. Jesus says, you are the salt of the earth. This is a statement of fact. This is not, come follow me. This is not, I will make you fishers of men. This is not an invitation. This is not telling us what we will be. Jesus is just telling us who we are, what we already are, what we are right now. We are the salt of the earth. And if we are salt, maybe we should know what salt is. I mean, I know it's sodium, but there's other salts too. But last spring, in the New York Times crossword, they had a clue that was the only rock that humans regularly eat. And do you know what the answer was? Salt. And I was curious about what else we use salt for, so I did some research. Especially if you enjoy cooking, you probably already know that we use salt for seasoning to enhance flavor and suppress bitterness, for preservation to cure meats and pickle vegetables to prevent spoilage, and for fermentation to control yeast and bacteria in bread and cheese making. And you know, depending on how complex your recipes are, you might even know that salt is used for texturing, to strengthen the gluten in the dough, or to improve what the internet tells me is the snap of processed meats. I don't know what that is, but apparently salt improves it. You may also have been told at some point in your life, like I have, to cut down on your salt intake for your health. But did you know that you actually need some salt to live? Salt helps our bodies balance electrolytes, which in turn help us maintain proper fluid levels and blood pressure. Salt also helps enable our nerve signals and muscle contractions. We even use salt to clean our wounds, clear our sinuses, rehydrate those who are extremely dehydrated. Salt is used for so much for our bodies. But even past that, salt is also used to produce the chlorine that we need in our pools. It's used in production of plastics and of glass as well. If you happen to have hard water at your house, you can use salt to soften it. You need salt to cure animal hides and to make leather and to help dyes bond to various fabrics. Firefighters would even tell us how without salt, certain types of metal fires would never be extinguished. But then Jesus talks about how if salt loses its saltiness, it is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. Yet I would wager that Jesus means something beyond what he says right here. For even the salt that is thrown out onto the ground is worth something, is it not? I think Jesus knew this and put this in as like an Easter egg in here for us to learn for ourselves that salt is never not good for anything. And now I'm here on a sidewalk here in Harrison, and let me tell you, there's salt everywhere. It's crunchy under my feet. And you know what? It's doing a job. It's not useless. It's doing a much needed job. Because the ice here, against all odds, is melting. The sidewalks are safer. But it's also creating a gray, dirty slush that'll soak through your socks if you're not careful. Because salt is noticeable. And very noticeable when salt is absent from where it should be. Perhaps just like us. We are called to go out and flavor the earth, to relate to others in the same way that salt brings food to life, to provide safety to each other, the same way this salt spread on this road provides safety to us. Truly, to bring the world to life is our calling, just as salt brings us to life. And to help sustain that life, just as salt helps sustain and preserve our own lives. So I had to really get inside fairly quickly because I was starting to feel numb, and so sorry for the break there. But continuing, salt, truly, we are to bring the world to life, how salt brings us to life, and to help sustain that life just as salt sustains and preserves our life. That's where we stopped, right? You are the salt of the earth, not salt in a shaker, not salt kept pure and clean on a shelf. No, you're salt thrown down on the frozen ground in the middle of February. You're the salt that gets mixed with dirt and snow and whatever else is on the sidewalk, because you're the salt that makes life possible. You're the salt that actually can never, ever lose its saltiness. Ever. And friends, I think we need to hear that right now, because it's cold. It's really cold. I don't just mean the weather, though yes, it's cold, and my fingers, I still can't feel them. I probably should have worn a coat out there. But I mean, it's cold in our world right now. It feels like we're walking through a long winter that just won't end. The news is hard. The divisions are deep. The darkness comes early and stays late. And a lot of us are just plain tired. We're tired of fighting the ice in our lives, which keeps showing up again and again, no matter how much we tell it that we do not want it here. We're tired of the gray slush. We're tired of feeling like we're constantly just trying to make the path a little bit safer for ourselves and for each other, only to wake up the next morning and find everything frozen over again. But here's the thing about winter. It always ends. Always. Spring always comes. Always. The ice always melts. Always. The light always returns. Always, 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 always. This is not forever. Remember, Jesus says that you are the salt of the earth. Remember that. Remember that Jesus is just naming a fact for us. Even when we're tired, even when we're mixed with dirt, even when we feel trampled underfoot, we are still salt. We are still doing something essential. We are still making the path safer for ourselves and for everyone else. And we are still bringing flavor and preservation and life to the world. And sometimes being salt just means showing up. It means putting one foot in front of the other on a frozen sidewalk. It means checking in on your neighbor. It means telling the truth when lying would be easier. It means staying when leaving would be simpler. It means loving the unlovable and flavoring the meal that you just didn't think could ever be good enough. But yet you bring that salt, and it's great. Being salt doesn't mean being spectacular. It means just being present, just being real, being ourselves, being willing to get mixed up in the mess of the world, because that's where salt is needed the most, is it not? And I believe that's what the church is supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do for each other. We're supposed to remind each other that we are salt, that we have value, that we make a difference just by being who we are, right where we are, even in the cold,
maybe especially in the cold. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything is fine, because it's not. The sidewalk is still icy. The winter is still long. There's still a lot of gray slush ahead. Staten Island Chuck predicted 6 more weeks of winter last week, and that kid has an 80% accuracy rating somehow. Even Puxatawny Phil only has like a 30% accuracy rating. The winter is long, and our cities are still filling with ice. But I am going to tell you this. This will pass. Spring will come. The light will return. Remember, winter never stays. And the entire time, we are the salt of the earth. We are called to keep being the salt of the earth, keep being the church that the world needs. You, each one of you, is amazing salt. Keep being salty, my friends. Amen.